The baby reached for the cat. What happened next was beautiful. No one in the room was ready for this moment, but the universe had been quietly preparing it for months. Read on. True Story or Family and Pets 12-minute read. Nobody warned the cat. Nobody warned the baby either. And nobody in that quiet living room on a Tuesday afternoon could have predicted that the next 30 seconds would become one of those memories you carry for the rest of your life. The kind that surfaces unexpectedly years later while you're washing dishes or driving alone and fills your chest with something warm and wordless. It started the way most life-changing moments do, completely without ceremony. 8-month-old Lily was lying on her playmat, surrounded by soft toys and a crinkly giraffe that made a sound she never seemed to tire of. Across the room, stretched across the back of the sofa like a small, indifferent emperor, was Milo, a 7-year-old tabby cat with green eyes, a torn left ear from some forgotten adventure before his indoor life began, and the deep, practiced composure of an animal who had seen enough of the world to no longer be easily surprised. They had been sharing a home for 8 months, since before Lily could focus her eyes, since before she had a name that felt fully real. Milo had watched her arrive, a small, loud, entirely baffling addition to his household, from a cautious distance. He had sniffed her blankets. He had sat outside the nursery door and listened, unreadable. He had accepted, without visible enthusiasm, this new permanent fact of his life. But on this particular Tuesday, something shifted. She reached for him the way babies reach for everything. With her whole body, her whole heart, every ounce of her 8 months on Earth folded into that single, wobbling, desperate stretch of a tiny arm. A moment witnessed, never forgotten. Lily had been watching Milo for several minutes. Her parents had noticed. Her mother, Sarah, had even pulled out her phone, half joking to herself that something was about to happen. Lily's gaze was locked on the cat with an intensity that babies usually reserve for ceiling fans and the faces of people they love. Milo, for his part, appeared to be asleep. Then Lily rolled, pushed herself up onto one arm, reached, her tiny fingers extended toward Milo with a focus that seemed almost impossible for someone who, just weeks earlier, had been unable to hold her own head up. She grunted with the effort of it. Her whole face tightened in concentration. She wanted to touch that cat more than she had ever wanted anything. And Milo, old, composed, famously indifferent Milo, opened his eyes, looked directly at her, and slowly, deliberately moved closer. What the science says about babies and animals. Before we go any further into what happened in that living room, it's worth pausing on something remarkable. The connection between very young children and animals is not simply adorable. It is, according to researchers who have spent careers studying it, profoundly formative in ways that shape children for decades. Studies in developmental psychology have consistently shown that infants as young as 6 months demonstrate preferential attention toward animals over toys, even over other humans in some controlled settings. The movement of animals, unpredictable, alive, curious, engages a baby's developing brain in ways that stationary objects simply cannot replicate. Animals breathe, they blink, they respond, and crucially, they respond on their own terms, which makes every interaction a small, genuine negotiation. This matters because the ability to read and respond to nonverbal cues, to understand that another living being has an inner life, preferences, moods, is one of the foundational skills of emotional intelligence. And babies, it turns out, begin developing the skill not primarily through interactions with other humans, but often through interactions with animals. Children raised in homes with pets consistently show higher levels of empathy, stronger social skills, and lower rates of anxiety in adolescence. Not because pets are magic, but because they teach daily the practice of caring for something outside yourself. Dr. Gail Melson, a developmental psychologist whose research has focused on children and animals for over 3 decades, has written extensively about what she calls the biophilia hypothesis in children, the innate evolutionary pull that humans feel toward other living things, and how this pull is strongest, most urgent, and most formative in early childhood. Animals, she writes, are biologically compelling to children in a way that almost nothing else matches. When Lily reached for Milo, she wasn't just being cute. She was doing something ancient, something wired into her at a level far below language or conscious thought. She was reaching toward life, Milo's world, before and after. To understand what happened next, you need to understand Milo's history. Because Milo had not always been a calm, settled, sofa-dwelling emperor of domestic contentment. He had been found at shelter at age 3, thin and skittish, with a behavioral profile of a cat who had learned, through hard experience, to be suspicious of sudden movements and loud noises. His first foster family had returned him after 2 weeks, citing his tendency to hide for hours at a time and his reluctance to be held. His second foster, a retired schoolteacher named Margaret, had kept him for a year before her own health made continued care impossible. She had cried when she handed him over. She had told the shelter staff, quietly, that Milo had learned to sleep in her lap by the end, and that she hoped whoever came next would be patient enough to earn that trust. Sarah and her husband, James, had adopted Milo 4 years before Lily was born. It had taken nearly 6 months before he slept in the same room as them. It had taken a year before he would let James touch him. But he had, slowly and entirely on his own schedule, decided to trust. He had decided that this house was safe, that these people were good, that the world inside these walls was different from whatever world he'd known before. And then a baby arrived. For the first weeks after Lily's birth, Milo had retreated. Not fully. He still ate his meals at the usual time, still appeared at the bedroom door at 6 a.m., as was his custom. But he kept his distance from the new small human. He watched from doorways. He observed from elevated positions. He was, in his patient, inscrutable way, assessing. Before you read on, does this story move you? Share it. Stories like this one remind us what matters most. If this is touching your heart, share it with someone who loves animals or someone who needs a little warmth today. Share this story. The moment the world held its breath, back in the living room, back to the Tuesday, back to Lily's arm, extended, trembling slightly with effort, reaching toward the sofa where Milo sat watching her with his ancient green eyes. He moved closer. He stretched his neck forward. He sniffed her fingers. Carefully, the way cats do when they're not yet sure but are choosing, actively and deliberately, to find out. Lily froze, whether from surprise or some instinctive understanding that this required stillness. She simply stopped moving. Her hand hung in the air between them, open, and Milo, old, careful, once abandoned Milo, pressed the top of his head against her palm. He let her touch him. He stayed there, in her chair across the room. Sarah made a sound that was not quite a word. She later described it as the sound of your heart doing something it doesn't have a name for yet. She had her phone in her hand, but she didn't raise it. She just watched. James, who had come in from the kitchen at the sound, stood in the doorway with a dish towel over his shoulder and his mouth slightly open. Lily's fingers curled gently in Milo's fur. She made a sound, a low, wondering hum, almost musical, that neither of her parents had heard her make before. Milo began to purr. It lasted less than a minute. Then Milo stepped back, sat down, and began washing his face with the air of someone who had completed a very important task and was now returning to regular business. Lily watched him for a moment, then rolled back onto her mat and reached for the crinkly giraffe. Everything was exactly as it had been, and nothing was the same at all. He had decided, in his own time and in his own way, that this small creature was worth protecting, that she was his. Sarah, Lily's mother. What changed after that day? In the weeks and months that followed, something unmistakable had shifted in Milo's relationship to Lily. He began appearing near her play mat in the mornings. Not close, always at a respectful distance, but present, watching, the way he had once watched from doorways, except now without suspicion. Now with something that looked, if you were the kind of person who believed cats could feel such things, remarkably like affection. When Lily cried at night, the long, bewildered cries of teething and bad dreams, Milo would appear outside the nursery door and sit there, silently, until the crying stopped. Sarah found him there so often that she began to think of him as a second guardian, a small, furred sentinel who had appointed himself to the task. As Lily began to pull herself to standing, then to take her first lurching steps across the living room floor, Milo became her most reliable landmark. She would steer toward him, aim herself at him. When she finally reached him, she would hold his fur in both fists with an expression of absolute triumph, and he would hold perfectly still, tolerating it with the forbearance of a creature who understood. In whatever way cats understand things, that this was important. He let her lie on him. He let her put toy hats on his head, something Sarah photographed extensively and with great joy. He let her feed him treats with a clumsy, earnest generosity that spilled at least as many as it delivered. He accepted all of it. He became, over the course of Lily's first year of life, not just a cat who lived in her house, but a genuinely central figure in her world. Why this story matters beyond one living room. Stories like this one circulate constantly on the internet. Videos of dogs gently playing with toddlers, cats pressing themselves against crying infants, unlikely animal friendships that go viral for a few days and then fade. We watch them, feel something warm and complicated, and move on. But it's worth pausing to ask, why do these stories affect us so much? Why does a video of a baby and a cat reduce fully grown adults, people who have navigated mortgages and illnesses and professional crises, to immediate, helpless tenderness? Part of the answer is neurological. Certain types of images, infant faces, animal faces, particularly the combination of both, trigger responses in the human brain that are almost impossible to override. Cute aggression, researchers call a phenomenon the overwhelming desire to squeeze or protect or simply be near something small and vulnerable. It is ancient and it is powerful. But there's something else, too, something harder to name. When we watch a baby and an animal find each other, when we watch two beings who share no language, no culture, no common reference points, somehow bridge the gap between their very different natures and arrive at a moment of genuine connection, we are watching something that feels like proof of something. Proof that connection is possible across the widest differences. Proof that gentleness is not naive but powerful. Proof that the world, for all its difficulties, contains moments of uncomplicated grace. We need those proofs. We need them more than we usually admit. Catface, Milo, 7 years old, tabby, green-eyed, and perhaps one of the most patient creatures in the world. The long education of living with another species. There is a particular kind of knowledge that comes only from sharing your life with an animal, and it is a knowledge that cannot be taught, only lived. It has to do with attention, with the practice of paying close enough notice to a being who cannot speak to you that you begin, over time, to understand what they're saying anyway. Children who grow up with pets learn this early. They learn to read the angle of ears, the set of a tail, the quality of a purr versus the quality of a growl. They learn that patience is rewarded. They learn that trust is built slowly and can be broken quickly and must be maintained with consistent kindness. They learn that love is not something you declare, but something you demonstrate day after day in 100 small actions. These are not small lessons. These are the foundational architecture of a good life, of good relationships, of good citizenship, of good character, and they are learned in some of the most lasting ways possible, not from books or lectures or even from the adults in a child's life, but from the animals who share their homes and their growing up years. Lily, who at 8 months reached for a cautious, once hurt cat and was met with a gift of his trust, is learning something she won't be able to articulate for years. She is learning, at the cellular level, that the world is full of beings who matter, that gentleness is a language, that sometimes the bravest thing you can do is simply reach out and stay still and wait. A note on Milo's purr. Cats purr at a frequency between 25 and 150 hertz. Research has consistently found that this frequency range promotes healing in bones and tissues, reduces stress hormones, lowers blood pressure, and decreases the risk of heart attack and stroke in humans who are in regular contact with purring cats. The sound that Lily heard when her fingers first touched Milo's head was, among other things, a sound that was good for her body, her nervous system, her developing sense of the world as a place that is, in its best moments, fundamentally safe. We cannot know what Milo made of that moment. We cannot know what calculations, if any, he performed when he decided to move closer instead of away. We cannot know what she meant to him, then or since. But we can know what he did, and what he did was kind. 2 years later, Lily is 2.5 now. She walks. She runs. She has opinions about socks and a passionate relationship with a particular brand of crackers shaped like fish. She has language, not fully, not fluently, but she has words, clusters of words, the beginning of sentences. Milo is 9. He has a gray muzzle now, a slower walk, a deeper relationship with his heated cat bed than ever before. He is, if anything, more settled, more certain of his place in the world than he was when he arrived at this house 6 years ago. He and Lily sit together in the evenings. She leans against him with the unself-conscious ease of someone who has never known him be anything but exactly what he is. Hers. He purrs. She hums. Two beings who found each other across an impossible distance. On a Tuesday afternoon that nobody saw coming. In a living room where the world held its breath and then exhaled into something beautiful. Sarah still has a video. She almost didn't take it. She almost just watched, wanted to be fully present. Wanted to hold the moment without a screen between herself and it. She pressed record at the last second, half accidentally, the way important things sometimes get preserved, not through planning, but through luck and instinct and the deep animal sense that something worth keeping is happening right now. She watches it sometimes, late at night, after Lily is asleep. The version of herself in the video says nothing, just watches. You can hear, if you listen closely, the sound of her breath catching. You can hear Milo's purr. You can hear the beginning of everything. Join our community. More stories that will make your day. Every week, we share true stories of connection, kindness, and the unexpected beauty of everyday life. Subscribe and never miss one.